morning. Good morning, Facebook friends. I'm just rising. I'm just connecting. I'm just connecting with my brother here, a new brother. It's my first time talking with Owen. We're just connecting for the first time, but we've been a little bit on Facebook, just chatting a little bit the last couple of weeks, bumping into each other online. And I'm liking a lot of the things that he's thinking and saying. And so I'm, just connecting with him for a little chat. Let's talk a little bit about, improving human experience, improving our human experience, making the best out of our lives. Looks like he's coming up here. We're trying to get his audio, it looks like, up. Just give him a moment to join in here. Looks like he's just having a little bit of connectivity problems here. Just trying to rise him. Oh, it looks like.
Pretty much ready. Almost ready now. Okay. Thanks. Let's have a look.
Hello? Can you hear me, brother? Hello? Hello? Camera off. I've lost visual again. It's hello? I can see you. I can see you, but I can't hear you yet. Oh, connecting audio. Yes.
Yes, cool. I can hear you now.
All right, my brother.
But John, how do I get rid of my background?
Oh, I like the
background. Thanks, Beth. So this is probably the best way. But yeah, it would be really cool to get rid of the background to be more like my real background.
Brother, I love your beard, man. That's so cool. I love it. It's gorgeous, man. Nice.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Just out of the bath, and yeah, I just put a bit of beard oil and oil on my hair and stuff.
Oh, you look great, man. You look great. I'm sorry I didn't get to take a bath yet this morning. I was out shoveling snow.
I was out shoveling.
About an hour and a half this morning, just rushing to try to get everything done to meet with you, brother.
Wow. Thanks, John. Yeah, you've been busy doing a lot of shoveling, getting exercise.
A lot of shoveling.
Awesome. Anyway, pleasure to meet you, Anna. You're looking fantastic. Great to see you too. But any thoughts on how to get rid of the background, though? Or should you think it's really good or something?
I think you look great. I think the background looks great. I don't know how to change it.
Let me see. More virtual background. Now I see. Cool. What's this like?
Oh, okay. I want to know how to turn on the virtual background. I have to learn that trick.
Yeah, you just click and then you press more, and then there's a virtual background on the bottom. Beneath.
That one, I'll try that one.
But, yeah, it's awesome. It's wonderful to meet you, John. You're looking up on a different place than me. You're not looking at me, but
oh, sorry. Here we are.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, lovely to see you.
I have a TV here. So sometimes my sight goes to the TV because I can see you when I look this way. And when I look at the camera, I lose sight with you. But so I'm looking a little bit off to the side sometimes. But
yeah, no problem. A little bit of flowers, but I don't think I'm gonna have any flowers in the background unless I do.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Flowers are always nice, but let me just see. I think I probably just need my camera a little bit. Let me see. How does this work?
Oh, you look great beside those flowers, brother. You look like a flower. Look at this guy.
Own the flower.
Awesome, awesome.
How does this work?
There you go.
I just want to make sure I'm not too close. But how is my audio, John? Because I did buy this thing the other day, but I haven't like managed to fully like understand how to set up the microphone. It's a microphone.
Right now, your audio sounds great. It sounds wonderful. I have no problem with sound. It sounds great.
Cool. I'm happy to hear that. So yeah, I don't want that too high. So yeah, it's a nice day today where you are in Canada.
It's a cold, sunny day. It's very nice and sunny though.
Cool. You know what, John? I haven't told many people. I've hardly told anyone actually, to be honest. But just in the last 2 or 3 days, myself, my partner, my wife, we were thinking of moving to Canada for like permanent residency.
Really?
Yeah. We aren't live or being recorded. Are we live right now?
Where are you, brother? Tell everyone where you are.
So are we live or recording now? Yeah.
This is live right now on Facebook.
Fair enough. Well, that's good with me. So that's good stuff. Okay. So yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that, but that's cool. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see what happens with that I just mentioned. Yeah. See what happens. So yeah, awesome. Lots of love to you. Hey, everybody. I like surprises. I didn't know that we're being recorded, but that's good. Let me just get my juice. I just remembered about my juice. Everybody needs their juice. I have some greens and herbs and mandarin juice in here.
Okay, so. Awesome. So, brother, tell everyone where you're from. Like, where are you from?
Well, I'm from Ireland. I'm born Irish. I'm living in Ireland, but I have traveled pretty good. I've traveled the world a fair bit. I lived in many countries, a few different Asian countries, such as like I lived in Costa Rica. I lived in Thailand twice for a month each time. Costa Rica for a month. Malaysia for 3 months. La Palma in the Canary Islands for 3 months. I lived in Spain for 5 weeks. I lived in Florida for around 3 months. I lived in California for almost 3 months. And I lived in Canada for 9 months over 2 trips. So little by little, I came back to Ireland, and I loved Ireland every bit more than before, because I used to like hate Ireland kind of. I wanted to get out because of the weather and the fruit situation. That was when I was a little bit younger, but over time I ended up little by little, every single time I went away, I ended up like loving and liking Ireland more, and I found myself like wanting to return to Ireland with more passion and eagerness. And I miss my family, especially my mom, who I've got a particularly close relationship with.
Amazing, amazing. So why are you considering Canada? What's your?
Well, I have a close family member over in Canada, and I want to be over there, So it's my heart is calling over there. But the only main reason why I'm in Ireland mainly really is my mom. But hopefully she might be willing or open to potentially, I don't know, visit or follow or join suit.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are a person, a man that's driven by relationship a lot.
I am, like, to be honest, like, I feel, depending on my age and my maturity level, I used to feel like many other people that the grass is greener on the other side. It could be somebody else be better than my current relationship, or it could be, I thought that in the past, or it could be like I'll be happier, or there's a different country that's better than where I am right now. So, but as I've gotten older and gained more experience and like traveled and had a bit more like relationships, I guess I'm able to compare. But as I grew older, I just feel that instead of thinking that fruits or sunshine is the most important thing, because I used to feel like sunshine and like the weather and fruits were like kind of like the best thing I could get, obviously with a really good relationship. But I feel like relationships are far more fulfilling, and like having a home, familiar places to go to, people to socialize with, friends, Whereas when I was traveling the world, I was a little bit like blowing around the place. Like, I think they might call them blow-ins, people coming, people going, me coming, me going. There's no roots. I'm more about roots and family and like people, love, like relationships, basically. Children, parents, whatever.
Amazing. And I like what you said there about, you know, finding, looking around, searching for more in another relationship, or searching in
Yeah.
another country, or searching for it somewhere else, and then just recognizing that really you don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to find anybody else. You don't have to, have any different food. You just need to like settle in and find it right here, right now. It's right here with us. It's always right within us, right?
Yeah, I just love what you said there, John. And like, I guess because I thought we were a little bit like, we didn't fully introduce ourselves. Like, a pleasure to meet you, and thanks for like having me on this call. And thanks for connecting and having a chat together today. I think you're a lovely man. I love what you share. I love who I see from what I see on the internet. I love how you've become the man that you are today, from being very like athletic and physical driven. Because I used to be an athlete myself when I was younger. I was totally physically driven. I didn't really have any sort of like, no particular type of mental and emotional awakening or like sort of expansion or maturity. And I used to be extremely competitive when I was young. I used to basically exercise 7 days a week, and I was super fit with 5% body fat. I did consider entering a bodybuilding competition, but to be honest, I was probably just a bit too shy, and I didn't really have anyone around me like telling me how to do it. And I just, okay. But I was very like pretty ripped and very strong, for my size, for sure. I was very egotistic and identified like my identity of who I am.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
So we have
you've
this.
become a beautiful family man. I love the way you've matured and grown, and now here we are connecting after all of these years.
How old are you, brother?
I'm just 39. I'll say 39 years young, lightheartedly, but yeah, 39 years old. I don't really mind, whatever. 39. What about yourself, John?
I'm 49 this year.
Ah, wow. Yeah, looking very good, brother. Looking very good. I thought you were younger than that. I could have guessed your early 40s easily. I thought you said 40 for a minute.
So you're not married?
No, I am married. I'm married, and I have she's my partner. I'm married. I call her, just funny and fancy words going around, like, well, they're not funny, but like soulmate, twin flame. I call her my soul flame or twin mate, or yesterday I said I call her my sweet mate. Or it's all fun. She's my life partner, soul partner.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And no children?
Yeah, I do have children. Like I have two children myself, two biological children. But I've also, before my two, I also am stepdaddying my partner's two children. Like I met them just over 3 years ago, and they were 2.5 and 5.5 then. So the girl just jumped right into my arms. She was all ready and wanted a daddy again, So she wasn't able to like be in her father's life, unfortunately, for various personal reasons, So and so then I also have a girl. I can actually have a lovely newborn, so that's super special for me, newborn. And I actually have a daughter in Canada, so that's why I wanted to like move to Canada.
Nice.
She's only 3.5, and the baby's just gone over around 12 weeks a few days ago, so 3 months. Yeah, very in love with her.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so you have a newborn of your own with your new wife.
Yeah.
And how old is that baby?
She's just on a Sunday she was born, and she was born on a beautiful date, 22/11/2020, so triple double, on a Sunday. And I caught her. I delivered her, basically, myself and my partner at home. I caught her, like I was the first to see her coming out upside down. It was awesome. Probably the best experience of my life is just right now where I am in life, like connecting with my new baby daughter. Because for reasons that I won't get into deeply, but I can say my other daughter in Canada is from an ex-relationship, and I have nothing bad to say about that lovely lady. Like she's a lovely, amazing mother, and I care for her and I respect her. But back in the day when we were together, like when she was born 3.5 years ago, we broke up like halfway, just less than halfway through the pregnancy. Not of my own choice, because a lot of people typically think like the man leaves the woman, but no, that wasn't the case. So I wasn't, unfortunately, really the way it worked out. Like we weren't really communicating good. Like it wasn't. We had our own things going on, and she was going through a hard pregnancy, and I was going through my own emotions. So I wasn't really able to be at the birth or much see her after the birth. And I had originally like gone to Canada with a one-way ticket, so that was a bit of a heartbreaking experience, like moving over to visit for the birth, like not to visit, to move, to be there for the birth, and potentially that was my plan to be living there, but it didn't work out. So that was like a really like big bit of a heartbreaking experience. But it just made this like, but thankfully we're in good communication now. But now I just made this experience like, and obviously with my partner's children, I never was at their birth because I didn't meet them when they were being born, you know. So this is the first, with 4 children in my life, and this is the first that I've actually had a full pregnancy, and birth and baby first. So it's just all in divine timing, you know. But it was hard, and now my heart has been lit alive now with this new baby experience, and just we have the most special, like just such a special connection. And just she's super happy baby, and she's, I don't know what to say, really, just love her to heaven and above and
Love, brother.
beyond.
That's what it is. You've been smitten by love.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'm totally smitten. I use all the words to describe it. And it's made me feel much more closer and fatherly to my other daughter, who I was a bit disconnected to in some ways, even though we're in contact now over like Skype every so often. But this experience has really like lit a light my heart like hugely, like, and my fatherly instincts, and I have a better relationship also with my other 2 kids who aren't biologically mine, but I'm their daddy, and you know, they're my kids. So that's beautiful too. We're all getting on very good as a family. It was a struggle though for quite a while, like obviously just on a slightly different personal note. Like myself, my partner had a lot of trauma to work through, so it could be described slightly as like what some people call a twin flame relationship. Some people, but not everyone. Like twin flame, I like Matt Kahn's description of a twin flame relationship. Like the soulmate is much more about like harmony and collaboration, and twin flame is like flaming, it's fiery. There's like things are getting burnt up. Maybe you're burning the past karma or baggage, and just firiness, just potential conflict, fighting, arguments, this, that, and the other. We had a lot of that for quite a while because like my partner had a particularly unsafe and somewhat violent and very abusive, very hard, traumatic upbringing for a very long time. And I had my own hard one too, but not the exact same as hers. So there was like triggers and a lot of healing to happen with us, which thankfully we've done. So we've kind of we've basically gone beyond now. We've finished, like, thankfully, through the enormous amount of inner work. Like it was a really struggle for the 2 of us for quite a very long time. Obviously, like happiness, connection, and passion, and like, you know, mental, physical, emotional connection too. But there was always this other thing coming up, you know, the ugly head of your past rearing its ugly head again and triggering our childhood core wounds and trauma. So there was an awful lot of like firiness too. But thankfully the flames have settled, and incrementally, even though many times we did think we were going to be breaking up and we had enough of each other. When you're triggered and the ugly head rises, you don't think straight. You just like, you blame the other part. We have, and I have, blamed the other person, and we want to get out. You want to like leave or this, that, and the other. But we worked through it all. It's been a journey, and we've had healers and helpers and like all sorts. But we put in the work, and thankfully now we have a very happy relationship and family dynamic, which any parent will really appreciate, because it totally affects the children too. You know, we've ended the ancestral baggage, if you know what I'm saying. And one healer even said, like, this baby here, Swan, called her Swan, and she was born on the 22nd too. And we had a few little like synchronicities relating to tutu, or the word swan, should I say. And I just love the meaning of swan and like the color of swan. Like white was my favorite color, or giant favorite color, with yellow. Like I love white and I love yellow. So we looked up the meaning, and it represents like grace, elegance, beauty, soulmates for life, maybe love, at least beauty, grace. Yeah, a few little like lovely little things. I just thought, you know, it feels really good to me, that name. And we had a few little synchronicities, and she was born on 2-2. You know, it's almost like two birds or two floating swans. So we thought we resonate with that. We weren't sure what to call her, you know. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a lot about it, my own personal life, which I don't really mind. I'm a very public man, and it's only for like personal reasons why like I don't share too much or any of this on Facebook typically. Like, yeah, yeah, it's like various reasons, as you can imagine. But I'm a very public guy. Like, I like to teach through exposure or vulnerability, like authenticity, to show my hardships, to show my heavy emotions. Like you, that's what I love about you too, John. Like, you're just like, for me, one of my first impressions of you was you got a good heart, you're pretty open, and you're vulnerable. Yeah, like you encourage people to like accept their dark side or their shadow, that type of stuff. You know, we're not all trying to be prim and proper and perfect or pretend we have it all sorted and everything else, you know?
Yes. Yes, brother. Thank you so much for sharing, opening up, making yourself vulnerable. This is it. When we make ourselves vulnerable, other people can see that they can open themselves up. So, you know, when you share your light, when you share your fears, you share the parts of your life that have been hidden, or you know, you don't typically expose. When you do share that part, other people can respect and
Yeah.
admire you, right?
Yeah.
But
And
it's scary to open up that part. It's scary to take the band-aid off and just let that be open, right?
yeah, it can be for sure. Yeah, it definitely can be, you know. Obviously we have like certain, if we there's stuff like shame, guilt, fear of judgment or rejection from those who we may share with. And that depending on where we're at in our own like maturity or healing journey, and our own self-acceptance, yeah, if other people come down hard or heavy on us or judgmental, then it can be very hard and to deal with, and sometimes like too hard for some people. So yeah, I don't, like yourself, I'm sure you're the same. We wouldn't necessarily encourage like everyone just pure total exposure. We also have to be careful like who we share with, and that they'll honor and respect us and promote our healing and nurture us instead of judge us or shame us.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You have to build a bit of a community of people that you can trust and that you can, so you have to feel a little bit safe. You have to build a bit of friendship. You have to build a bit, right? But once you have that relationship with someone or something, or you're in a situation where you can open yourself up, then to allow it to come out is what has to happen. We have to let that darkness, we have to let that shadow, that fearful of, we have to open it up and let it out.
Yeah, I love that. The way you're like using your hands remind me of like a nest, like build up a little like safe little nest for yourself. I'm just gonna turn on my light or two, John. Maybe a light behind me, just make sure the lighting's good. But yeah, like one other thing, like that's sort of like that in the way that I'd like to share, is my partner's like two kids who I'm fathering happily and joyfully, and I love them so much. And like I usually just call them my own kids, you know, but just to distinguish between like the situation clearly and biologically and all this sort of stuff. They're another trauma that my partner experienced, and which is also a big part of the whole like situation, my family, and how I've learned and how I've become the person I am today also, you know. And my partner is that the father of the children did like he passed on just when the second child was near full term in my partner's womb, when she was nearly full term pregnant, just before birth. The father of my partner's kids passed on, like, you know, quite a few years ago. So that was a bit of a loss for the kids, and a bit of a definitely a very tragic and a hard experience for my partner to be left alone, pregnant with almost two kids, you know. So, and she was struggling with a lot of her own trauma too, like from childhood, which was very extensive. Two healers actually said that out of all of their clients, my partner had like the most traumatic client they've ever, the most traumatized like client that they've ever had in terms of most past trauma, the most hard life, basically. But you know what shatters us and what challenges us, like when we flip it, it offers like tremendous like light and depth and power and meaning to somebody, and perspective, and even greater, like easier, or like not easier, but like deeper levels of appreciation, just like lots of deeper positive aspects or virtues to a person if and eventually they go through the healing and the processing, you know. But it's very challenging along the way. It's challenging for everyone involved, especially that person.
So this is it, is that you have to flip it. You have to change your perspective of it. You have to change your mind about it. It's like we have to change the way we're looking at our life. So we have to move from being the victim to becoming the victor of our life.
Awesome. I never heard that exact expression, victim, victor. That's it. That's exactly it, John. I like the way you said that very much. That's it. And that, as you know, that's like an incremental, gradual journey.
It doesn't happen overnight. It's not an overnight switch. And it's painful, emotional, and hurtful. And it hurts. And we have to look at it. We have to go into that discomfort. We have to move into that darkness. We have to move into that fear. We have to step into the cold, and we have to find some comfort in it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. It's a very emotional journey to heal from trauma and losses. Like I like to say lately and think, like, for example, the loss of my health. Like when I was like, one of my traumas, like I had like big traumas with my dad up until the age of 8. My dad was like pretty much a mental and emotional abusive man to myself and my 4 siblings, and to my mother. And two of my brother and sister, I think, were developing stammers or stutters from the anxiety and the fear in the household. And I myself have blocked out like 99.9% of my childhood memories before the age of 8. I can't remember almost anything of childhood, including, can hardly remember. I just have 3 fearful memories of my dad only. I have no memories of my sister, a brother, and another brother. So only very faint stuff, you know. And then just like, I suppose, just to give my background just a tiny bit more, which kind of relates to what you're just saying. Up until then, when my family kind of like split in half when I was like 8, myself, my mom, and my 2 brothers moved like an hour's drop, like maybe like from one town far away to another town, like maybe 40 minutes drive away or an hour's public transport away. So one half like didn't see the other half for in around 6 or 7 years. So basically speaking, like I didn't really have my dad in my life, and I never really got to reconnect with him. I met him a few times growing up before he passed on around 5 years ago, and he seemed to be a bit of a changed man then. He'd no recollection or idea of like not doting over all of us, but pretty much all my family. I think some people block it out because my mum's mum thought like she was like, like I don't know, something like a loving, doting mother as well, but she definitely wasn't. Like, but no judgment on these people. Like, it's just all it is ancestral trauma. Like, unless you have the awareness, unless you have the blessing, the light shone upon you, unless it's your soul agreement with yourself before coming down here, we may not awaken or heal in this lifetime. And if we don't, and when we don't, all we do is we carry on based on what was given and shown to us by our parents, our family, our main caretakers. So if someone was abusive to you, you might become a bully or abusive, or whatever the case may be. Some people don't, and a lot of people mostly do. But yeah, then after the age of 8, I just had an awful lot of anxiety going to school. Like, for some reason, I just hated school. Like, I never fit in. I was very emotionally subdued in primary school or like with infant school, like from 8 till like 12. I don't know. I was just very sad and insecure and like lonely and like vulnerable. I was just like a little kid. Because I was the youngest, my mom like over coddled me. She had me under her wings, like protecting me. But I was very emotionally like sort of like insecure and vulnerable and fragile, so to speak. So then I'm a social guy, and I needed like the feminine energy. And in school, I was in an all boys school and I had no friends. So like, oh my goodness, it was like a double. It just felt very intense. And then when I went into high school, I think it's called America, or in Ireland it's called like secondary school from 12 to 18, I was making some friends in the first year, which was kind of pretty good. But then I lost them all in the second year, like early on in the second year, because I took pity, I took compassion on someone who's a loner or being bullied, and I just started to sit beside him. And I was warned by my friends, if I keep sitting beside this guy, then they're not going to be friends with me anymore. So I guess I'm a Capricorn, or I was still stubborn then. I'm not too stubborn now, but like I have been stubborn like in the past for sure. I dug my heels in. I didn't want to like give in and like abandon this like loner, the guy who was being like alone, treated lonely. No one would sit beside him or be friendly to him. He's even being bullied a little bit. So I sat beside him. We weren't even good friends, but I just like had a compassion for him. So yeah, from the age like basically 13 till 18, I never really had any close proper friends. I had acquaintances and people I could sit beside sometimes, and this, that, and the other, but they just weren't on the same page. So I had a really like, I'd say I had a like a very hard very, very, very intense, hard, like lonely, sad, and anxious time in school. And even thinking about going to school in the evening, I'd feel like an awful lot of like anxiety and fear and sadness. And then I also had some like I had some personal things related to like I guess related to a certain degree. Yeah, I guess yeah, whatever. My stepdad, a little bit of issues with him, and a little bit of issues with some like drug abuse in our family to a certain degree. Um, I wouldn't really call it abuse, but just people like drinking a little bit to let out pain from the past, like a coping mechanism. Which a healer did say, actually, to be honest, it was very beneficial for them to let out the anger. But you know, when someone's had a lot of suppressed anger, and then they might take a substance and then they let it out, that was a bit like fearful, anxious, and traumatizing to a certain degree. Also in my teenage years. But I understand in my heart, and I have compassion for the person doing that, because that was their coping mechanism that they needed and knew of at that time, and it worked for them. So they let out stuff instead of holding it in. And I'm really, that's something for like viewers also to recognize. It's important sometimes, because one healer even did say that person could have, that family member could have potentially even died of cancer from too much stored anger and emotions that was being suppressed because they were being abused and mistreated in their life. So they were the victim, so to speak, or they were, even though obviously, like, I don't want to bypass, like, we can be victimized, but to have an identity and an idea and to always think and feel like we are the victim and to be disempowered is different than recognizing what happened, that was negative or an unpleasant experience, and then to be the victor, like slowly transmute and feel and think differently about it and use it like for deepening and expansion. That's like different story, you know. So thankfully it's all been working out, but I'm just sharing my background. It's all worked out very good, John.
This is it, brother. Hurt people hurt people.
That's right.
Hurt people, and everyone has been a victim. We all have a story. We've all challenging things in our life. We've all blamed the other person for what to us, right? And at the end of the day, the only way out of it is to rise out of the victim yourself and accept it. This happened to me. Yes, that happened to you. Yes, we had that bad thing.
Yeah.
Yes, we've all had a bad thing. We've all had that bad person. Yes, yes, yes. I know. Not to make it small, not to say that it's not important, not to not honor your pain. But at some point in our life, somewhere along the way, we have to, stand up to our pain.
Yeah.
Whenever that is, it's not right or wrong to be still in your pain. But at some point, if you want to heal, if you want to change your life, at some point, you're going to have to hunker down with that pain, and you're going to have to lay in bed, and you're going to have to cry, and you're going to have to shake, shiver, and feel cold, and feel awful, and just be with it, and just say, you know what, it's okay.
Yeah. I like the way you express that, John. Yeah, it's good. I like it a lot. It's fun for me. It's impressive or like enjoyable to hear your ways of expressing this, Very good. Hunker down in your nest, like create a nest, hunker down with those who you trust, your safe zone, or just be by yourself in your nest, in your home.
By yourself, just by yourself. Yeah. And what I've discovered is that, awesome. You had treatment with a great healer that helped you. You spoke to somebody about it. These are awesome things that we can do. Or we can even heal ourselves with just changing our foods and changing our substances and changing our habits and changing our behaviors and changing the way we think and speak to ourselves, about ourselves. Like, you can do it by by hiring a professional, or you can do it by just your own thought and desire and will and determination. You can do it yourself. You don't have to have somebody. Awesome if you do, but you can do it yourself too.
Yeah, well, it really does. Like, the main part definitely boils down to doing it yourself. Like my favorite teachers, who are the ninth dimensional, like Arcturians. They're non-physical beings. If you believe that or not, I don't really mind. Like, I tend to believe it. They're my favorite. I love their messages enormously. They've helped me exponentially just reading or listening occasionally to their messages. They're channeled. It's by Daniel Scranton. I just love their messages. They're extremely powerful, succinct, grounded, very spiritual, very wise. Like they said recently, to raise our consciousness, to heal, we need to self-reflection is the way to go. So it's all about like self-reflection, self-study. Like Anthony DeMello, one of my favorite teachers in the past, like he wrote a book called Awareness. Actually, it was from a weekend seminar he spoke, but they put it into a book. It's also an audiobook. He's an incredible awareness teacher, and it's all about like studying or analyzing or looking at our own mind and our own attachments to things, and how it's like the work of Byron Katie, like the work.com probably is. It's about questioning our beliefs and looking at what we believe to be true about ourselves and other people and the world or life, and how that makes us feel and how it makes us behave and how it gets in our way of certain behaviors or not doing things, etc. So yeah, self-reflection is how we raise our frequency, energy, vibration, and consciousness. And for me, though, I have found healers to be beneficial. Like, it's all about everything. Like, as you know, John, everything has an effect. Everything. So it's not like you need to do cold showers. It's not like you need to run in the forest. So one person running the forest could be sitting down with tea with their friend in the coffee shop, or climbing, or swimming in the sea. But the more of the positives we do, it adds up. You could almost like simplify it to like mathematics. Like, the more positives you gain the numbers. And we don't have to be perfect. We don't even have to keep track of all the numbers, or I don't keep track of any numbers. But the reason why I do generally recommend healers to people with when they don't have the life that they want, or there's a particular hardship in their life. Why healers have helped me and my partner and my mom, who's my mom actually had a lot of trauma too, which I won't. There's no need for me to get into that right now, into her life. But healers, and before I mention why I recommend healers, is I want to recommend probably the biggest obstacle to me and my partner's relationship when we're going through the twin flame, and now we're more like into the soulmate. Just using terms loosely. It's not like they're really important, the words that we use, or nothing like that. It's not my identity. It's not even the real description of our relationship. Words only go so far, you know. Like, you're not John, like you're you. You're right here, right now, and you're you. And you change all the time. And even like a flower, or like, words do pretend to be what we're looking at. Like, you know, when we get overly mental and start labeling and using words too much to describe, and we lose track of the real thing. Like, when you look at a bird or a tree, it's a natural tendency for us to start like describing, oh, there's a lovely tree, hi tree, or like, that's an elder tree, or this is a crow. But really, while we're busy thinking and talking about all these mental concepts, we're actually like not really fully paying attention to the living being, or the uniqueness of the life form right there in front of us. And it's infinitesimally, can never be the same way again. And it's specifically unique energy and actions or feelings or behavior right now. It could be our child, it could be our father, it could be a friend, it could be a tree, it could be a crow, it even could be a car. Like, and when we're sort of describing the car, sometimes we're just missing like just observing and feeling into the car and connecting with it on a more sort of emotional or energetic level. You know, and obviously that goes intense more strongly towards like living creatures or living beings, like but yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, the biggest thing that was the biggest block in our relationship with me and my partner was the blind spot. I just call it the blind spot, is when you think it's all their fault and you're blaming them. You're blinded to your own contribution to the negative situation that nobody likes. So you think it's all their fault. They're to blame. They're lacking. They're not good enough. They did wrong. They did this. They did that. You did this. You said this. You didn't do this. Look at you. You. So one of the things that I recommend and try to do in my own relationship is talk about myself, like me. One is talk about my own emotions and vulnerability. I feel this way. I feel sad. I need this. I need a break. I need some time out. I just need to go. I wish that we get on well. I feel sad when we fight, or I can see that you're feeling upset and I care. Like all these sort of ways we can communicate are very, very empathetic and compassionate. I'm sorry you're not feeling good in your body. You're tired. You have a headache. Instead of saying you're being grouchy, you're being this, you're being that. You know. So in the healers help my own self-reflection daily, my own like sort of checking out my own life and my own emotions and my own habits and the things that I was doing to make myself feel tired or drained, like eating habits or like overeating a bit too much, or just eating foods that kind of take my energy. It could be too much cooked food, or it could be anything I was doing. But the thing on top of my own self-reflection to help me was sometimes healers. That's why I'm getting into a long prelude about healers, because healers helped me and my partner, and especially me and my partner, because I know the most about me and my partner. But they can heal blockages or stagnations in our aura or our chakra system or just our overall energy and in our mind. They help us to see blind spots. So yeah, seeing a blind spot for me is a breakthrough, because you've just become aware of something you were oblivious to and unaware of before, and then suddenly your whole life has new opportunities because you can change the way you're behaving. Because I changed the way I was behaving, you know. So I feel like one of the keys to a successful relationship is, one, find out your blind spots that you can't really see properly very easily, and that's either through self-reflection, listening to friends, listening to feedback from your partner, studying yourself, or healers. And secondly, it's being willing to change and listen, yeah, and obviously stop blaming or criticizing.
Awesome. I love a lot of things you said there. I'd like to copy back and address three notes that I made while you were speaking there. I really like you mentioned the Arcturians.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I know the story, but I can't say that I identified really deeply with that story. I have identified with another story. My connection was to the natural laws.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I connected to, was the Hermetic principles, and I saw the truth in all things that way. But it's you know, some people have a deep belief in a religion, or a deep belief in, or they find a deep belief in some type of religion, or a story like the Arcturians, which you know, you just identify with it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not that there's a right way or a wrong way. You just have to find out what you believe. You have to determine what you believe, like at your root, at your core, or you have to take a belief that really fits for you. So you need to believe in something.
Yeah. And even with myself,
what that is, and you really need to know what that is.
Yeah, even with myself, I feel like it's important for me not to believe, not to take my belief or my too strongly or seriously. Like, it's not like who I am is what I believe in, because what I might think or believe or think that I know today could be something that I might change in like anytime. It could be further down the line or tomorrow. And like, if someone says the Arcturians, like ETs, or this political view, or your view on the Arcturians is bullshit or nonsense, and like there's none of that, like I'd say, okay, cool, I don't mind, like that's fine with me. I don't mind if you think that, like I don't really care. Like
some people, you know, they want to do this, they want to do that. Like, everyone's gonna choose for themselves, but you gotta believe in something. You gotta believe in something, and you have to know what you believe in.
Yeah.
Your root beliefs. You have to find them. You have to explore them. You have to expand them. You have to grow them, and you have to, you know, commit to them.
Yeah, like what would be your beliefs that like help you in your life at the moment, John, in terms like explaining further what you're saying? You're not talking necessarily talking about spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs. Are you talking about just general like feelings or what works for us in life?
What things you believe in, what's driving your life. You have to find
Yeah, drive.
what the root behind your life is. You said you found spirituality in the Arcturian story.
Yeah, like I just find their messages basically to be very helpful to me, like on a practical level. Like I feel like I've looked at and sort of studied and looked into like tons of people, like humans, who share messages or books or videos or like articles and or snippets on social media and various things like audiobooks or lots of stuff and loads of videos as well throughout the years too. And like I just find Palladians and Arcturians are two of my favorite like sources of knowledge or wisdom, especially like practical, like helpful information, you know, things that have helped me in my life. I find they're clear, succinct, lucid, accurate. I'm using my own personal discernment or feelings, but each to their own. Like I feel there's something for everyone at a different stage in life. And like you said, there's no right or wrong. And like what works for one works for another. What works for us now doesn't work for us tomorrow.
That's right.
Kind of.
So I just want to identify that is that it doesn't mean that you have to believe in something, but you have to choose for yourself your own belief. Everyone has to choose what guides them, what pulls them forward.
Yeah, exactly. What sort of like pulls them forward? Yeah.
What makes sense for you? What makes your world make sense? How does it make your world make sense? And how does it make you be able to speak and articulate about your world and heal yourself inside of your world? You have to have some over story, some great big over story about.
Yeah, that's right, John. That's right. I hear you now. Yeah. That's right.
Creative story of your own, like whether it's the story of Jesus or it's the story of Buddha or it's there's got to be some story, like whether it's the Sasquatch story or whatever it is. You've got to have something that makes the world make sense to you.
Yeah, and gives you like extra reason to live or extra passion or motivation or interest and intrigue and enjoyment and fun and helpfulness.
And to grow and a space to think about and meditate in and an overview. Like for me, that's the natural laws. For me, the Hermetic principles. For me, that's that's my way of understanding. But the other thing that I made note of here was you talked about just noting the bird in the tree.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just being present. That's just coming to the moment, just coming to the now, just being present with whatever it is. So you can heal yourself right here, right now. You don't need anything else, but you just really need to connect to the present. And so you can see the bird, you can look at the tree, I can see the snow in the trees.
Yeah.
Really settle into the presence of just that snow in the tree.
Beautiful.
And you can be present and grow and learn and heal just like that. Just presence alone.
Absolutely. I love what you said there, John. Yeah. I feel there's so much we could talk about. I'm actually writing a book right now. It's going to be my first free book. I've written 2 books many years ago, like around 7 years ago or something like that. But I've grown exponentially since then. And I'm writing a bunch of other books now, like maybe 5. But the first one's going to be self-awareness. And it's about like self-awareness to our programming, limiting beliefs, our thoughts, what goes on inside of us. But also an awareness to ourself, our inner silence. It's about living in the now also. It's about the no mind or the stillness or the quietness, So, I feel it's just such a deep topic in a way. Like I love what you said, like right now we could ask ourselves the question, what problem is there right now? Because usually what stops us, the only thing that stops us from an awareness of the now is because our mind is thinking too much or a lot. We're talking to ourselves in our head. We have visual images or video clips in our head of memories or imagining the future. And all of that's good and necessary and vital in life, especially when we consciously choose it voluntarily. But with most people, it's happening so much involuntarily, automatically, and unconsciously. And a lot of the time, the memories or the visions or the thoughts, the sentences, the actual words, can be very sadness-inducing or reliving things that serve no purpose but to create an upsetting emotion. And even you could say that's purposeful until we learn about it, because it's bringing us to a point where we'll eventually learn. But as we progress in life and grow and mature and expand, things that we used to do no longer, they served a purpose. It was positive in one sense, like it brought us everything in our life, everything has brought us to where we are now. So where we are, everything is to be sort of like honored, our past, but we're changing and moving out of the past too. We're creating the future, and now everything's always now. We always live in the now. The now is where it's always happened. The future will happen as the now, and the now is a special moment of life where we're actually alive and living. You know, as you know, John. And we miss life when we're over conceptualizing our thinking. Like even right now, I just had a little awareness that I'm talking and I'm being mental. But like if I sort of like, I'm also want to be aware and acknowledge and realize I'm here with you, connecting with you, and you're alive right now. And it's a very special thing to be one, alive and to wake up each day. And it's a very special thing to have a now to be in and to experience. And when we're in the now, like you say, I feel like a certain sense, one, connection happens, two, a certain sense of love can happen, and three, a certain sense of appreciation can happen, which is even stepping outside of the word appreciation, it's connection, it's a certain good feeling, and the good feeling encompasses like the words we try and use to describe it, like love and appreciation, or happiness. There's happiness, a certain sense of peace, love, and gratitude, and happiness and appreciation when we sort of do get out of our minds a little bit and connect with somebody or something in front of us. And this can be very helpful when there's emotions happening in a relationship, of a conflict of some kind, because when we get out of our heads in a relationship conflict, we start to look at the other person more and tune in or connect with their emotional pain or suffering or mental anguish, even their physical upsets. Many people have physical pain or disturbances or tiredness or sickness, you know. And then obviously things hold beauty. And when we're in our heads too much, we miss the beauty. And like stuff like snow, like you mentioned, or a bird or anything. There's certain niceness in things too. Yeah, there's loveliness and smiles in life.
It's just to get present with the loveliness that's right here, right now, to see the loveliness that's here right now. It's to shift the perspective from being in the victim to seeing the loveliness that's here right now. Even though you've got this problem, even though you've got this weight problem, this health problem, this money problem, this relationship problem, even though you have this problem, it's to shift your perspective to see the joy and the love that's actually the gift that's still here. You still have life. You still have possibility. You still have opportunity. You can change your relationship. You can change your financial situation. You can change your health. You can change your temperature. You can change anything you want to about your life, your food, your nutrition, the things you say. You can change your life. You have life. Thank goodness you have it.
Absolutely.
It's a shift of perspective, which leads me to the third thing that I wrote down here from what you were saying was coaches and healers. And that's what a coach or a healer or a friend or just a non-judgmental person, a person that loves you, a person that's in an accountability relationship with you, a loving relationship with you, can just be your sounding board, hear what you're saying, copy it back to you, and give you a change and allow you to shift your perspective. Because when you listen to another, when you watch and listen to another, it just allows you an opportunity to process inside of your own mind and overcome whatever blockage you've got in your own self.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, John, and I like just like looking at you and connecting with you here as well, emotionally, feeling wise and energetically. I think listening is very important, and sharing, and I think teamwork, teamwork, helping each other out, um, what was I going to say? Yeah, so for me in my life, in my relationship, like listening was something I had to work on. I think
Me too.
I love it. I love when people listen to me, especially if I have something to say or complain or vent, and it's really nice. It's nice. It's soothing to let out pain or hurt. It's also soothing. It's also nice to like share creative ideas that feel really good. Also, positive things too. And a friend or a person who listens, if they listen without interrupting too much or sort of like trying to like sort of like inter sort of fear or like bump and bump or too much or like argue with or like it's a very healing sort of nice sweet thing when somebody actually just listens to you and accepts you how and who you are and the way you are at the moment. So somebody who does that, so a friend or somebody else can either listen to you and cement your victim story, like, or they might not have the awareness. They might say, "Oh, per you," or "That person's really bad." But if they have like more life experience, which is a blessing too, then they might say, "Well, what part? How are you contributing to the negativity in any kind of relationship?" It
And you
could
can
be your
have a
mother.
conversation about that, and that's it. And that's what a healer can do, and that's what a coach
Yeah,
can offer you. Is they can just give you a different perspective and help you to work through that. Like, what does that really mean, and what are you going to do about it, and how are you going to change because of it? So you can
yeah,
conversation that is more than just blaming the other person or just interrupting what you're saying, because we all need to be heard. We all
100%.
express ourselves. This is what's going on right now is we've got censorship where they're stopping people from expressing themselves. Like, this can't happen.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's one of the fundamentals. Like in the same way as like things are appear or they stand out because of the bigger space that they're a part of. If there was constant solid things everywhere, we wouldn't be able to move. Like we move and travel through a sense of space or the air, non big solid things in our way. So like houses, people, things in your house, they exist in space. And similarly, sounds sort of exist or spring out from or become alive because of silence. It's not always like content. There's also emptiness, space, and quietness or stillness as part of movement. So I think listening, I guess this could partially be described as like feminine and masculine too, because masculine is usually more about motion and going forward, and feminine is a bit more about nurture, receptivity, softness, kind of. So I do find that listening is more important, kind of more important in some ways anyway. It's sort of the groundwork in the same way as like the roots or the structure or the groundwork is silence and space. I think listening is the fundamental like groundwork before speech. So I think listening is such a beautiful thing. It's such a gift and an art. And if anyone wants to learn more, a little bit about like communication or listening, I definitely would recommend learning learn from Nonviolent Communication by Dr. Marshall. I think it's Rosenberg. I could be wrong, but nonviolent communication. It's also called compassionate communication. But yeah, I learned from that too. So they provide a structure and a certain energy that you can learn from how to communicate and listen. But for me, I've shifted from that. It's a bit like a tool to use when you need it. But I've taken many things from many places and people, and I love all of my teachers. And I'm here because of all of my teachers and my experiences. There's so many. Everyone is my teacher, by the way. I learn a bit from everybody, and I appreciate any positive or negative experience. But these days, my main focus is on is it's more about my own frequency, energy, vibration, or consciousness, or my heart. You could simply just simplify it. It's my own feelings and my own thoughts. So for me, I know if I feel right and I can think clear, and then I'll think right, then I know the answer, so to speak, in the moment how to listen and the ability to listen and to communicate in a heartfelt, positive and constructive way that actually helps people and me, helps create and to co-create a positive outcome that works for everybody. So it's not about me beating people or getting what I want at the expense of anyone. It's about unity consciousness, I could call it, whatever words you want to use. There's all sorts of different words, you know. It's about caring for everyone. It's about loving your neighbor.
It's about love for self and love for others, right? And there's a zillion ways to speak about it, and there's a zillion ways to reach to it. But it's the life force of our universe. It's love. and it's to align with love. And we need to listen and we need to share. We need both. We got to share. But it's to come to that internal energy that we all have. And so you can't say that there's a right or a wrong way to do that or do this, right? It happens in many different ways, but listening is a big part of it. And so is sharing, being able to share and feeling comfortable to share.
I agree with you, John. And thanks for just like putting a bit more emphasis on actually like sharing, because it's not just about like being quiet or listening or like empathizing. I used to use the word understanding is really important. And I've heard the quotation, the most important thing, or one of the most important things in relationships or part of communication is to understand. But it's not just to understand mentally, it's about to understand emotionally. And that's what I feel empathizing is it's mental and emotional understanding, or you could use the word tuning into, or like put yourself in another person's shoes. So physical, mental, and emotional. And when you get that form of understanding, that usually happens by not talking as much as listening. But talking is 100% important because you want other people to empathize and tune into you, to help feel into you, to feel you and to care for you, to have a chance. Because when you understand somebody mentally, usually an awful lot of relationship problems is really just about a misunderstanding or not understanding someone's needs and wishes in life. So we do things to try and meet their wishes and needs to be happy and well and centered. But some of those things can seem to conflict what we want or what we think is going on. So yeah, talking and expressing yourself and sharing is very important, super important. It's like essential. Yeah. And it's a lovely thing. It's not just like something you need. Like everything can be like beautiful, can be partially beautiful sometimes, or even just like somewhat pleasant or like fun or happy sometimes. Like, because when you really get somebody and you feel, especially when we feel gotten, like like one of the things in today's world is lots of people haven't learned, and I'm still in the process of it as well. Like, it's not like I'm finished either. There's an awful lot of judgment, and there's an awful lot of sort of, I don't really fully understand you, or mentally and emotionally and physically. So because we don't understand, because of people that haven't learned to listen as much, there's an awful lot of judgment instead of compassion. Because when you understand and empathize with somebody, you have compassion and more love and peace within yourself. You realize most people aren't just out to get you. They're not trying to be mean. They're just trying to meet a need or a wish. And when we don't understand them or know what's going on in them, we tend to jump to a judgment that they're being bad or wrong. Or sometimes it could be dirty if it's related to the body or related to sex. That can be a judgment. They're dirty as well. Like they're doing stuff that's weird or like dirty, or, you know, masturbating. Like, but bad and wrong is the two prevalent judgments. Like you're being bad or wrong in some way. And that's mixed in with non-acceptance. It's mixed in with like criticism or condemnation.
Love, it's conflict to love, and this is it. Is like anytime we're judging someone, we're not loving. Anytime we're caring, anytime we're competing, anytime that you know, it's comparison, it's judgment, it's competition. Anytime we're competing with them, right? Anytime we're trying to control. This is not love. This is not love. This is power, right? So it's comparison, competition, control, and judgment. These things are what we do, and we tend to do in conversation too. We start having conversation, and we do all of these things amongst each other. And these conversations aren't loving conversations.
Yeah.
And so when you get with a healer, or you get with a coach, or someone that's you get into an accountability relationship, you're talking about having a loving communication where someone is listening and someone is sharing, and we're both listening and sharing. This is how we grow. This is how things change. This is how things heal. This is how we come back to the power. This is how we come back to love.
Yeah. I love what you said there, John. Thanks for sharing. I love listening how you say it, because I'm saying one way I love what you say. Obviously, we're saying we're complementing each other. This is like teamwork. This is cooperation. It's funny because just
Yes.
it's beautiful. I love it, man. Thanks for inviting me to like chat. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny because my yesterday's video, my video channel, which is YouTube at the moment, but I'm also on Odyssey, so it's Odyssey and YouTube, was competition versus cooperation. You know. So yeah, I wanted to reply to something you said, which I really liked. What was it again? I can't quite remember, but one thing you said about like that stood out as well was the other thing was comparison. Like I used to compare, okay, and so did my partner used to compare, and sometimes the comparison wasn't very favorable. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. I didn't feel good when I was being compared. Like, I was getting the losing end of the stick. But I compared the two, and like they were getting the losing end of the stick. So the thing is, we learn through life from having experiences. We experience our life from having an experience, many of them all the time, and we learn what we like and don't like from experiences. And I've learned. I want to attribute and credit and give some gratitude and appreciation towards Abraham. Abraham gave me a lot of this certain amount of this knowledge, and I appreciate them. But like having a want or a desire is born from comparative experiences. For example, you live in a smoky city, you compare that to living and visiting the country, then you want to live in the countryside or a quieter place. You have a relationship and they were doing all sort of stuff that you don't really like or resonate with. Now you compare, you don't, yeah. Like comparison and experience breed your life going forward because it makes desires. And that's what Teal Swan will also share.
Makes us make decisions. We have to make decisions. We have to make choices for ourselves. Yeah. And we have to go through these experiences of good and bad, of what we determine is good and bad, until we come to the point that we recognize that at the top of this whole thing, that it's love. It's love for this and for that. It's both.
Yeah.
It's
that's
not
it.
On one side and then not the other side. Like I like this, but I don't like that. I only like it this way. I only like it when my wife does this. I only like it when my husband does this. And that's the only way I'm going to be happy. Well, if that's the way, then you're only going to be happy like this much of the time. Like in order to truly love your life and love yourself and love your wife and love your kids and love your work, like we have to learn how to love it even when it gets cold.
Yeah.
We gotta love the cold too.
Yeah. So what I hear you say is it's okay to have preferences. I like this, or maybe I don't like that. Like, or maybe I don't like the pub like this, or like an alcohol party or something. But or maybe we don't like certain sometimes ways of somebody. It could be our partner, or it could be someone we're a close relationship with. But the thing is for me, there's a fine line that I've learned between attachment and preferences. We don't want to be too strict or rigid or judgmental when we don't get our number one or number two or number three preference. But when we're attached to something, we need it, and we need it too heavily or in a disempowered negative way, because when we don't get it, we spring to some kind of negative, like upset emotion, which comes from our mind. We're too attached. Like, so yeah, that's what I hear you say. Like, it's really good to be flexible instead of rigid. And yeah, the Tao Te Ching, it reminds me of the Tao Te Ching. It's all like a huge system of knowledge and belief regarding living and learning from nature. Like the oak tree will fall in a storm, whereas the grass or the reed will like waver and still be okay. So, but it's not about spiritual bypassing either. It's not like, we do want to recognize and always be in tune and acknowledge our own feelings and express our new wishes or our newborn change of heart or change of mind also. And with ourselves in life, like it's okay to make a decision. We're free to make a decision about I want this job or I want this type of relationship. And it's okay to change. Now I don't want that thing anymore. Like I want to go to the park, but on the way to the park or the beach, it's okay to say, I actually don't want to go anymore. And usually we'll go where we're planning on going, but it's okay. We're not in like a strict rule with somebody. And sometimes people can be really like attached to their things too. So then dealing with other people's emotions and attachments is a big part of life too. But think about it. one of my most favorite things that I've learned, which is like such a fun thing for me in a way, because I find like psychology and philosophy, like psychology and self-awareness, like such a trip. I find like fun. For me, it's like a puzzle. Because it's mixed in with emotions and heart, it's a mixture of like left brain, right brain, like mental and emotional, you know. So I find it to be like a really, really intricate puzzle that's always something to like unravel or like fit into place or like figure out. So it kind of engages me, like life or spirituality engages me. So one of my favorite things is if someone is attached or they to you being a certain way in life or in the relationship, if they judge you and they express a lot of unhappiness or this disdain with you, the funny thing is what I've done in the past is then I judge them for being judgmental. And I get really upset with them for being so upset with me. Like, what? I like, it's like, I'm not that bad, or like, you have this, like, you know, be happy with this, or like, this is fine. Like you're being so unfriendly, you know, like, why can't you just like chill out and stop giving out to me? Like, and of course that's fine to say and to feel, that's like honoring our feelings. But it comes that for me, I've grown on just other levels I've reached now, where I'm more like, I validate and want to tune into and understand someone's like physical, mental, and emotional wishes and needs and what they're going through. And if they happen to be judgmental, I try my best not to be judgmental back on them from my mind, but be more heart-based, empathizing with them, which is it's a hard thing to do in the past for me, and it still is sometimes for sure. But no, I've gotten better gradually. It's funny though, right? Yeah, challenging.
With practice, with practice.
Yeah, so basically speaking, not to give back what someone's given to us, because then we're just both exactly the same. It's like an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind, you know, that type of saying and stuff.
This is it. We've learned kind of this two-way street, this duality approach to love, like, you know, good and bad. And this is what we've learned, and this is how we learn, and we need it, and we need to learn in this way. But ultimately, what it is about is really going beyond good and bad, and it's about unity, and it's coming to love, and love is accepting both sides. It's being neutral. It's being between. It's not really being on one side.
That's it. Yeah.
Not fighting the other. It's accepting that everyone has a choice. It's free will. Everyone has free will. Everyone has to have free will, and some people are ready for something and some people are not. And that doesn't make them wrong and you right.
No.
It's to accept and love your
Yeah.
brother just as you love yourself. It's to
Oh
learn
my
to
goodness.
give love to yourself and to give love to the other properly.
I love what you said there, John. Yeah, I love what you said. Thanks for sharing that. It's beautifully put. I guess for me, part of my incorporation of my new self is to like wish the happiness of your happiness is my happiness, your pain is my pain. Um, and that's not to be sort of, you know, that doesn't mean I bypass my own emotions. If I'm really upset and I just try and neglect myself, it's not like about I try and make you happy with the expense of me either, you know. It's just a mixture and a sort of common sense to a certain degree, in mixture of just caring on a deeper level, really. And when I've learned to celebrate and appreciate somebody else's success and happiness or prosperity or abundance, or it doesn't, not just even financially, but just it could be something that makes them feel happy or fulfilled or enriches their life.
Just their relationship, yes. Doesn't have to be
Anything.
all. It could be just admiring someone else's wife or children or career.
That's it. And be happy if they're in a happy relationship, and be compassionate if they're not, and like, yeah, just respect and honor, you know. That's one of the reasons why like I liked sharing your posts, John, because one, I felt a similarity and appreciation for your sense of authenticity and care and helpful, like wishing to help people, and just sort of open and vulnerable, and you know, just humble. Humble was a lovely, I felt you're very humble and open and honest, you know. I love that you're a father and you're caring father for your kids, and I appreciate the fact you've been married for so long, or just like in a relationship for so long, and you've worked on things, and you're doing things for humanity and for your family, you know. I love that, you know. And like, I used to be more about myself, like I want this, I want that, or I wish I had this, more success, popularity, more numbers and statistics, like, you know, all this sort of stuff, followers and subscribers. But these days I don't really care too much. For me, it's about quality instead of quantity. It's about meaning and feelings. Like, it's about doing something that makes it feel good and doing something that makes someone else feel good, as opposed to holding a grudge, expecting something in return. It's nice to get in return for sure, of course, but it's, for me, one thing I feel I've learned, or I'm learning, is to do for the good feeling of it, for the joy of it. And if it doesn't, nothing comes back from it, you've gotten and experienced that joy and the good feeling, or the loveliness, or the love, and you've had that feeling in the doing, and that's the end results there. You're not trying to get something out later from it. So it's less agenda and more sort of in the moment experience of an emotion, heartfelt. Yeah, I know you like this, and it's like maybe fun, or it could be just kindness, you know, to somebody else. So yeah.
Brother, thank you so much for your time today. I've loved having a chance to meet you, getting to know you, and recognizing that I was hearing the right things when I heard what you shared in your videos. I could tell that we had some things in common, that we were coming to the same place, that we were coming to love together.
For sure, man.
And I wanted to talk about it and let people see that even if we're in different worlds, even if we're in different parts of the world, even if we're doing things differently, we're still coming to the same thing.
Yeah, even if we have different lifestyle and a different eating habits, which we actually don't. Like, we didn't even talk much or anything about that today, but yeah, we're both interested in holistic living and body, mind, spirit, and fitness, balance, exercise. We both love nature and the sun, the air and the sky, the animals, plants. We love raw food and fruits. We love flexibility and not trying to be too strict, or sometimes cook foods if we feel like it too, whatever the case may be. You know, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But yeah, I guess we have a certain other thing we're talking about today, which is it's closest to my heart, what we're talking about today, really, you know, like people and emotions and unity and togetherness, and creating a new world from our hearts, where everyone can prosper and be happy and have a home, like all the type of thing, you know, kindness and all that. But yeah, we have all that stuff in common, like fasting, sun gazing, pranic living, not overeating. You know, I know you're into all this stuff. I've seen your page, I've seen you talk, ice baths, even weights or body exercises. There's so much things we could talk about. I know we won't right now, but
Connect again to talk about these things, brother, because we didn't talk about any of them, but we talked about the relationship, and I felt that from the moment that you started to talk about your daughter and talk about love and talk about relationship and relationship with your wife, and I felt that this needed to be about just talking about love and relationships, right?
yeah, and it's such a tricky thing. Like, that's why it's my main passion at the moment. Like, I may change to something else down the line, but for me, the trickiest thing for me in my own life, and I feel it's the trickiest thing for other people too, it's not like necessarily like starting to exercise, or like changing your diet like a bit. But for me, the trickiest thing for me by far and away is like emotions and thoughts of me and others, dealing with other people's emotions and changing moods and their perceptions and beliefs and thoughts, and how they're behaving or interrupting or interacting with me in life, or judging me. This is like everybody's doing this. Like, they're all coming and going and changing different days, and strangers are coming too. All sorts of stuff's happening all the time. So for me, my biggest journey has been my own sort of like my energy, or you can say my consciousness, or frequency and vibration and stuff. For me, it's the trickiest puzzle. So life for me is the hardest or the most challenging, but I love life. But in life, the hardest thing in life, because life is everything, but the hardest subcategory of life for me is definitely related to emotions, thoughts, and relationships. You could call it relationships in a way, because having your own emotions and thoughts is one thing, but having relationships where you're dealing with yours and another's, and your combination, that is tricky for me. And I find changing diet is very tricky on the physical level too. Like, but that's sort of less intense. Like, you're not gonna like, you're not going to cry or blow up or have a meltdown or a breakdown or like to be depressed or sometimes, or some people even like suicidal, like God bless them. And I hope no one's like that. But you're not going to usually be like that because like you end up eating a burger when you're trying to like be on a raw food diet. Like you're not going to affect you so intensely. The worst that can happen is you're hard on yourself and you get down about it. But it's not like the same as having a breakup or being abandoned or rejected by your parent or physically or sexually or emotionally or abused or something, you know? So that's why I just feel everyone's struggling to a certain degree with that. And then a lot of people are struggling an awful lot with that. And I just sort of want to shine a bit of light on that situation. That's why I try and like dive deep into intricacies or be intricate and like break it down, you know, on the root level and a practical level, mixed with like sort of spiritual words too, like just to try and help people get a grasp of them and know that they're not alone, like you said, and we all struggle. But yeah. I love the physical thing because the physical thing like is extremely important and extremely supportive, and it's also a very pleasant part of life to like be in nature, be healthy, eat healthy, meditate, anything that you want to like also bring up. If we have any like time left, I'm happy to discuss anytime you want, you know.
Yeah, we have to do it again. We have to do it again. I've got to run to my next one now. But
Yeah, man. Pleasure. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I'll get back to my family too. Yeah, are you doing another interview now, John?
no, but I've got a face-to-face meeting now coming up now. So.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll let you get ready for that. And thanks for having me today. It's been very happy for me. So thanks a lot, John.
Awesome, my brother. Thank you so much for sharing with me today. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, John.
Touch again, and we'll chat again for sure. Okay.
Yeah. Virtual hugs, and maybe someday I'll meet you in person in Canada. Why not?
Hey, awesome.
You're such a good guy, John. I love and respect you. And yeah. Talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Have yourself a good day.
Thanks, man. You too. Bye now.